Royce Morales is the founder and teacher of the Perfect Life Awakening program, author, columnist, and expert on mirroring. She empowers clients with her profound process that helps neutralize self-sabotage, shift stuck patterns and negative thinking by locating the origins of limiting subconscious programmed beliefs. Live an authentic existence, discover your true purpose, connect with your higher consciousness, reset your life, transform from triggered to empowered, and attract what you truly desire and deserve by discovering what life is reflecting to you. Because it's all mirrored.
Hello, welcome to my show. I am so excited and honored to be here with everybody. And wow, there's so much talk about narcissism lately, especially with some of the stuff going on politically. And I won't go there. But what is narcissism really? Besides a hard word to say with a lot of S's. So how do people become narcissistic? And how do their actions affect those that they have no regard for? Why are some people drawn to them? They get sucked into that whole thing, and why? And how do they and why do they remain under their influence? Yet some are able to break free, like my co-host today, and she's going to explain how she broke free. Really fascinating story. There are, on a spiritual level, as you know that I always talk about, there are huge lessons to learn from narcissism, and especially how they are able to disempower us. Why do they have that power over us? So, most importantly, as you know, if you've been watching my show the last few months, what are narcissists mirroring to us? I know that's a tough one to wrap your head around because you know you're not a narcissist. So we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to give you my little presentation. And if we could just pull up those slides, let's talk about narcissistic mirrors. So first of all, it looks like it's kind of cut off on the screen there, but anyway, I'll just go with it. So what is mirroring? In case you haven't been watching my show, mirroring talks about the unalterable universal law of energy that states that nothing can ever be suppressed. Whatever you push down, whether it's emotions, fears, guilt, whatever it is, it's going to pop up somewhere in your life. And mirroring is what others and life are reflecting to you about what you are suppressing or in denial of about yourself. I find, since I'm like this mirror advocate, mirrors are the best tools to help awaken you to who you really are. When you find out who you aren't, you can find out who you are. So let's go to the next slide. That is my little graphic representation of mirroring. Mirrors are like seesaws. Whatever you're pushing down, ignoring, denying, or running from, it's like you push down one side of the seesaw, the other side pops up. So mirrors are the flying up side of the seesaw. So let's go to the next slide. So the order of mirroring, I'm just going to go over this really fast because I know I've talked about it before, but in case you're new here. So before the age of 3, as well as in past lives, as my co-host today will talk about, you experience a moment of pain or loss, or a time that you believe you caused pain or loss. During those moments, you make decisions about yourself, others, and life, and that becomes your programmed reality. So in order to, quote, protect you and others, your primitive survival-based consciousness suppresses those incidents, especially suppressing what you decided about yourself. Okay, that's the most important aspect, especially based on what we're going to talk about soon. But again, since nothing can be suppressed, that energy of the memory is in you, and it comes out in all kinds of ways, especially by attracting mirrors to show you what you've suppressed. So that's the basic order of mirroring. And I go into a lot more detail about that in my courses. So let's go to the next slide. So then what happens? And the next slide. What happens from all of that? So it shows up as mirrors whenever a button is pushed. Now, this is the rule of thumb that if I had a tattoo gun, I would tattoo this on everybody's arm all over the world, because if we all understood this, it would change the world. It really would. So a button is pushed, you're triggered. There's always a mirror of something to see about yourself, always. And what are buttons? What are triggers? They're negative emotions, judgmental thoughts, needing to be right, guilt, defensiveness, apathy, blame, revenge, hopelessness, all the fight, flight, freeze, fawn reactions that we have are showing us a mirror. I know, yuck. Nobody ever likes this. And I find that the louder you protest that this couldn't be a mirror, couldn't possibly be a mirror, the more denial of what's being shown. I lived my whole life saying that about my mom. Nope, she's not my mirror. I'm not like that at all. And I tried to prove that I wasn't like that. But eventually I had to admit that she was mirroring something to me. So she was my best teacher. So let's go to the next slide. Your higher consciousness, your spirit, knows the perfect way for you to see your mirrors, and it will do whatever works. So if I really need to see a mirror about something in me that I'm in denial of, the universe says, okay, here you go. Here's the perfect mirror for you to finally get it. And it'll shove it in your face until you do get it. So, narcissist, great mirrors. Next slide, please. So what about narcissists? Okay, let's just skip over the next one there. So what is a narcissist? And I'm going to have my co-host talk a little bit more about this too. A narcissist is someone who subconsciously believes that they must not allow others to be who they are, do what they need to do, or have what they want in life, because they really believe that it's going to directly threaten their survival in some way. Okay. So that belief that if you become who you are and get powerful and deserving and all of that, that is going to threaten me in some way. So I have to control you and stop you and suppress you and do all those things that narcissists do, because that's what I believe. I truly believe that. I don't. Narcissists do, just so you're clear. Okay, next one. So, and really, this is the real truth. Narcissists are functioning from subconscious, denied fear about themselves. Okay. They have a huge pile of suppressed pain and loss that they caused in the past, and they're trying to hide from it. How do they do that? By suppressing others and being self-centered and only caring about themselves and their own power. So to deal with their fears, they attempt to control, suppress, destroy, etc., others. And I think just knowing that, realizing that, oh, that person that's saying all these terrible things and doing all these terrible things, they're just more afraid than I am. That was something that was a huge realization in my life. I had a realization about police officers because I had been pulled over one time, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's so scary. And then what clicked in me was, oh, he's so scary because he's more scared than me. So because they're not in touch with how terrified they are, they put it onto everybody else. And they believe that doing this is going to keep everybody safe from them knowing how afraid they are. That's the issue there. I screwed up that sentence, but they don't want anybody to know that how afraid they are. So they become terrified toward others. They're in absolute denial of their fear, and it turns into these, quote, justified controlling of others to make sure that nobody sees how scared they are and to make sure they survive. So let's talk about the next slide. And yes, here we go. They are mirrors. So if you can think about it, we're all afraid. We all have different ways of dealing with our fear. Why are we afraid? Because we're afraid of ourselves. We have done things in the past that we believe cause pain or loss. So now we're afraid of ourselves, and we can't let anybody know that. So we come up with different methods of dealing with that. Narcissists are the best mirrors of that for us. And it's my sense of it, my spidey sense, as I always say, that we have situations right now in the world where we need to face our own guilt. We need to face what we have done. So we've attracted and voted for these huge mirrors so we can finally get it. Finally get in touch with all that we've suppressed. They're just magnification mirrors. They're like these big, when you look at those mirrors and you can see all the little, the hairs and the pimples and all that, that's what they are. They're showing us a magnification. And I think that is probably, I can't read it, it's so small, but I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say about what they're mirroring. And so thank them, because they are your biggest gift. Remember, to be attracting narcissist, part of you believes that that's what you deserve because of the pain and loss that you committed. I find, and this is what I teach in my courses, the degree that you remember and clean up what you've done, and that's what we do, is the degree you won't need to attract those mirrors. So you're no longer pushing that down, and they don't have to be the flying upside in your face. So again, thank them. Know that they're showing you something that you can get in touch with and clean up. So whatever it is that drives you crazy about certain people in politics, yes, I know it's hard, but take a look at that and see what they're mirroring to you, and start cleaning up things in your life and in past lives, as my co-host will talk about today. So I think that's the last slide. Yes. Okay. So let me introduce my co-host, Charlie Lotinja. Here she is. I'm so proud of you and thrilled that you're here with me today, because I know
Thank you.
the stuff that you're going to share is deep stuff. And
yes,
yeah,
you pulled me out of my shell, so I'm here now.
That's what I do best, right?
Yes.
Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about Charlie. She survived being raised by a narcissistic mother, which is a challenge in itself. And then she was under the influence of a cult run by a narcissistic man. So you had both sides your whole life.
Yes.
And it took years of inner work to finally get to the point where you could break away from living under their control. And then, yes, I worked with you. And it was
you did
amazing work. The level of depth that you got into and found past lives that explained things, and it was just phenomenal to see your ability to get in touch with all of that. And she trained her empathy and leadership skills, and she helped her fellow Chicagoans in many different ways. And what I think is just so admirable about you, Charlie, is that you've made it your moral duty to not continue that generational pattern with your own daughter.
Yes.
You're so conscious and aware of not doing what your mom did to you. So that's awesome.
Thank
and
you.
then you shook off a lot of that old stuff. And I know it's been years of working on yourself, and your commitment to do that and persist is just so admirable.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
And now you're openly sharing your story with others. And I just think that's so great. And what I think is most important, at least the work that we've done together, is the influence of past lives and how that really set the stage for all of this to happen. But before we get into any of that, I want to ask you, tell us your story. I know that you told me that you had an amazing experience, an inspirational experience at the age of 8 with Les Brown. Tell us about that, because that was such a great story.
Yes. So, my grandmother, I have to say first, like, she's my saving grace. Like, oh my goodness. She knew that I had a lot going on. She knows her daughter very well. And I couldn't understand why my mom just like hated me. Like I didn't get it. And my grandmother would take me to church only if Les Brown showed up, or on Easter, or Christmas. So that's how we did it. And I remember he was up on stage and he was he was saying some great things like,
He's
follow your
amazing.
dreams. Don't let anyone distract you from it. And at that time, I wanted to be a dancer. That's all I did was dance. Like that was my expression. Like that's how I broke away from like my mom and all that was going on. And that really helped me. But he said some great things. I felt so empowered after leaving. His speech. It was, I don't know. And I remember I would sit in class. I daydreamed a lot in class. I mean, but I thought of his speech in class. I couldn't even focus. And it went on for days. And the next time he showed up, I couldn't wait to go. Like my grandma was like, Les Brown. I was like, yes, I'm going. And he would come and do speeches at the church for like maybe twice a year. And I was front and center twice a year for a few years. So, yeah.
So, like, for example, what would he say that was so inspirational to you?
It was just more of like, whatever you want to do in life, you can totally achieve it. Disregarding what anyone has to say, because anyone that's going against you or saying things to you that's not nice, like they actually hate themselves. And that's projection, and that's not who you are. You are you. You are better than that. I don't want to say that, but you know what I mean? Like you are who you are, and you have your path, and you keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you were into dancing. How did that help you break through some of these cycles that you were going through? I guess I should really ask, how did you even know that there was something off with your mom? I mean, it took me until I was like a teenager to realize, this woman has some issues. How did you even get
that? Well, I was a scapegoat and a golden child.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm the scapegoat of my mom, the golden child for my grandmother, and my family on my dad's side. I had something to compare. My family, even on my mom's side, treated me so well versus how she treated me. But as my mom, I want my mom to love me. I want her to care for me. I want to be perfect. I want to make her happy. And everything I didn't amount to much. And I continued that for a very long time until I just like gave up. But her behavior was just wild, like I don't want to even use that word, but it was like on another level. So I had things to compare. I had things to look at to say something's wrong here. And I was talking to my grandmother about her. I was talking to my family about her. Like, I'm just talking because I'm trying to make sense of this. I didn't do anything. Like, well, I didn't think. But there was a time where I asked my mom a question and she would just yell at me. Just completely I'm like, whoa, I'm just asking you a simple question.
Wow.
And she's like, get out of my face. I'm like, okay.
So your grandmother, I mean, it's interesting to me that, usually the mother doesn't agree and say, yeah, my daughter is really, awful or whatever. Did she rescue you or ally with you in some way?
My grandmother definitely rescued me. I remember when you and I did a process. I went back to when I was a baby. And this is also a story that I was told as well by my dad, where it was wintertime, and my mom ran up to my grandmother to the door to grab food or something. And the car locked. It was still running and it locked. And I was locked in the car. And my dad is a fireman. So the firehouse that he worked at was literally not too far from my grandmother's house. So we had to call, and my dad came. My dad and his buddies, who I'm still connected to now, they came and saved me. And this happened on a couple of occasions. And so I guess that, that pattern continued. And I'm like, oh, okay. Dad come and save me. Mom's in trouble, because now I'm mad at mom because she's always like mad at me. So I'm like, Dad comes and rescues me and argues with her, put her in her place. Grandma comes and rescues me as well, put her in her place. Okay, now we're talking. Now I got people on my side. And that's when I noticed, like, oh my God, there's people that care for me. That's like on my side here. So then I set up a whole thing about rescuing, like needing to be rescued and rescue others.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that your grandmother would take your side. So I think that in a good sense, that's really good. That's positive.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to my question about ballet and dancing. How did that
Yes.
play a part in your well-being, shall we say?
Well, ironically, my mom put me in dance. And I don't know, it was great. I fell in love with my teachers, the kids in my class. It was the discipline, I think. My mom, my household, we lacked discipline. My mom lacked discipline, so I took that on, and it gave me structure. I don't know why I felt aligned with that, but I mean, I guess, I don't know. It was just a thing, and I escaped.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a Janet Jackson dancer. You couldn't tell me anything. That's what I was going to do for a living. And I just became me. That's my thing. Like it's great. I feel good after. It was somatically just like, that's when I felt most connected to my body, my mind. Yeah. And that I felt was the only thing that I had.
Yeah. Wow.
Like of autonomy. Like,
yeah. Autonomy. Exactly. Yeah. So, and then in my introduction to you, I mentioned that you then were hooked up with a cult person that was also a narcissist. How did that happen? Tell us the story about that.
Sorry. Well, I mean, being the daughter of a narcissistic mother, the older you get and the more you become like you're finding yourself or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that was a problem for her. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure that part out. But my mom introduced me to him. And I remember when I first saw him, I was like, because he looks so scary. And yeah. And I was like, I think I was 14. I was 14, 13, 14. And I remember being terrified of him. And I also remember not wanting to be, I said, something's wrong with this. I don't like this. And my mom just became more enraged. Like it just, I don't know. And I guess obviously he used that to his power to continue to like triangulate and draw further wedge. And for us to confide in him because he's a man of God and you don't go against the God, you don't go against Jesus, you don't go against God, whatever. And if you do, you are, you're not healed. You're not going to get healed and whatever, and eventually, I caved in because, again, my mom and I's relationship getting worse and worse and worse. And he's giving me comfort, so we set up that exchange here where, I'm the victim here, and I got someone to come and rescue me. And it felt great. And so, of course, I caved in and complied, and now I'm in there. But I still had this part of me but I still had my grandmother over here, still talking to me. So, it's this whole thing. Like it was a huge back and forth. Life got really crazy over here. Life was amazing on this side. So again, I have something to look at here, but still super confused, but my mom is my everything, and I want to impress her.
Wow.
So he said he would help me with that.
And did your grandmother know about him?
Eventually she did. I started talking about him. And my grandmother was like, oh no, this doesn't sound right. And when she said that, I was like, oh no, now I have to make excuses for this guy because I don't want her to, talk bad about him. So, now I'm indoctrinated. I'm in here. So, if you listen to my cousin, Aziza Priest, she talks about cults, you would get more in-depth understanding. But yeah, I'm indoctrinated. I'm making excuses, and I don't want anyone to speak ill of him. And I don't want anyone to find out about the odd things that were going on. So I stopped.
Wow. So reference to the couple of weeks ago, I interviewed your cousin Aziza, and she talked all about her experiences as being in cults.
Yes.
So check that out. It's on YouTube.
Yes. And she played a very big role in me leaving. So
how did she do that?
I started talking. I started talking, and she's like, that doesn't sound right. And again, like, oh my God, like someone's saying something bad about him. Let me kind of not. But then eventually I just said everything. And she said, I knew it. I knew something was off here. Yeah. But also a lot of it had to do with her introducing me to you as well. Because I think she was noticing some things that were off that I wasn't talking about. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, and he claimed to be a minister.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, the man of God. Oh, I am it. Wow. I am the one. I have a direct connection to God, and you go through me and you obey me, then God is going to bless you.
Wow.
You disobey me, then you're going to be, damned for life or whatever he's talking about. But he's a prophet. So direct connection that I don't have access to. Yeah.
And I think it's the interesting part of the story, from what I hear, is the fact that part of you, even as a child, sensed that something was off with this guy and with your mom.
Yes.
That's pretty, and I know how intuitive you are. So did that, I mean, I always like to look at the positive outcome from situations. Did that in some way inspire you to really start trusting your intuition?
When I left, yes, I don't know. With that one, I can't really. It was always like a tug of war going on here. It's like always something. It's like I could say this. Only thing I just remember always challenging him, always challenging her. That doesn't make sense. Why is that? Why do I need what, and it was always just this back and forth until I caved in. But then there was something else that showed up and then I would question it. I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Like, obviously I really don't want to go into the deepest parts of it. But yeah, I think it showed up and then it went away. Like, I don't know how to really say all that, but yeah, that's the best I can do. I can only talk about after I left, where in hindsight, I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. I was right the whole time. I knew something was off. Like, and so going through grief with all of that, shame and embarrassment, anger with not leaving when I should have, or pushing back when I should have in the very beginning, so yeah, those are things.
Yeah. Well, you were a kid and yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was a beast as a kid, like I knew, I'm telling you, Lion King came out. I was going to be Nala. There's nothing you could tell me. I was going to live in New York, a dancer. That was it. I was going to dance for Ailey. I was going to, all of these things. So it was like also dancing in this force there that was like, no, man. But like I said, eventually I broke down and I caved in and yeah.
Well, we need to take a bit of a break. So just to remind everybody, I'm talking to Charlie Lotinja, and she is talking about narcissists and the incredible stories that she went through. And we're going to get into talking about the past life influences and what you realized when you did some inner work and all kinds of fun stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Awesome.
Om Times TV. Do you want to break free from old patterns and limiting beliefs that subconsciously sabotage your life? What are your triggers, and what really is beneath them? Are you seeking answers to life's big questions, intrigued by the possibility of self-discovery that goes deep? Looking for tools to help you break free from hidden sources of feeling stuck, confused, and unworthy? Perfect Life Awakening takes you on an epic inner adventure that shifts your perception of yourself, others, and life permanently. Identify and overcome the origins of subconscious triggers and limiting beliefs holding you back. That's how you transform your mindset from the roots. That's how you liberate your spirit, awaken your intuition, and discover your true purpose. Dive deep into the mysteries held within. Embark on a life-altering journey of self-discovery. Be a trailblazer within your own life. Go from triggered to empowered because you deserve a perfect life awakening. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back. I'm talking with Charlie Lotinja. We're talking about narcissists and her amazing story about being raised by one and then getting involved with one cult, etc. So when you first came to me and we started doing some inner processing work, it was all about dealing with all of that. Do you have any specific memories that you can share about what happened from that work, or what you realized, or what you got in touch with?
Yeah, one was I was an old lady way back, and I sold bread, and a kid came, stole bread, and I whooped the kid. And I feel like that one there, you're like harming a child for being a kid. Like that's, kids do things, and not having empathy, not trying to gain awareness and understanding, of children, and, child abuse. I abused a kid, and I feel like that set up some things here. I feel like on some level, I deserved my mother being, needing to appear. I don't know. It came up where body dysmorphia came up out of it. I don't know how, but it did. Where I'm constantly worried about how I look, how I appear. Also, my mother kind of reflects from my past life of how things were taken from me. I feel like you stole from me. You took whatever from me, and I don't like that. And I feel like part of it is, my mom showed me that. Those parts where I feel like you stole from me, you stole my childhood from me, or whatever. And now I'm victim. Now you need to be punished, or, whatever. And I felt like I deserved the punishment. I feel like that's kind of the best I can do with that part. Because I'm still diving, but what I can say is that it brought up powerlessness.
Yeah.
Beating a child, you need to be, you feel powerful. You're taking power from a child. Gaining authority, you need whatever, it's those things. So for now, that's as much as I can come up with right now. But those, I feel I'm cleaning up still.
Yeah. And it's a perfect example of things that we do, whether in this life or previous lives or wherever, that, are similar. We attract someone to do that to us in our next life or whenever. And like you said, instead of saying, oh, wow, thank you for showing me that. Now I'm going to get in touch with the mirror, the memory of when I did that. We
Yeah.
become the victim. And of course, as a child, that's
Right.
not going to happen. But as an adult, you have that ability.
Yeah.
And you do it so well. You're always amaze me in the work that you do. It's so profound. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yes.
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, from all of this is why I chose to focus on, narcissistic mothers and their daughter relationships, because, oh my God,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
how disruptive. But it's great. It was great teacher. She's my biggest teacher, as you put in the slide. They are your greatest teacher. And for that, I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
I could turn from victimhood to survivorship, and I could roll with that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So tell us about the mother-daughter. I know you were going to share that was a book that really helped you with this, the mother-daughter, because the mother-daughter relationship is probably the most powerful and impactful relationship that we have in each life.
Yeah.
That person represents our survival. They brought us here. So tell us a little bit about that aspect of what you're going through or what you went through with your mom.
Yes. It wasn't until I had my daughter where I was said, okay, where I really started to experience.
Yeah.
But the first book that when I started going to therapy, this is after I left the cult in 2018. The first book I was recommended was Will I Ever Be Good Enough? Healing the Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers. That's by Dr. Carol McBride. And I mean, it's a whole breakdown. And I'm reading and I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my goodness, that's her, and there were a lot of, all of this is like a direct mirror. I was like, oh my God, I totally picked up a lot of these things. But I'm also glad that I'm aware and, unlike my mom, who just glides through life. I'm just grateful for being able to have the awareness to shift. But I want to give a few of them traits that I read that she has that I realized I had. And it really took me recently to realize that I had it. Grandiose sense of self-importance, exaggerate achievements and talents all the time. Preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauties, or ideal love. Oh yeah. Believes that he or she is special. Oh my God, yes. Requires excessive admiration. Yes. Now these are things that I'm still actively working through, and it shows up, especially in my daughter.
Oh, wow.
Unreasonable expectations. I'm really hard on myself. It mirrored how hard I am on myself. Perfectionism is huge for me. And it showed up in so many places. And until I realized that's an illusion, that doesn't exist. But it still shows up, in little subtle ways. Like if I have someone coming over, I have to hurry up and clean the house because it has to look a certain way. When I step outside, especially in Chicago, I have to be fresh. My outfit, my makeup has to be on, my hair has to be done, my shoes, blah, 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 all these things. Like I have to appear as if I'm better than others. Competition, all those things showed up for me especially through entrepreneurship with my husband. We definitely possess a lot of these things. And it showed up. It shows up in my projections, his projections, and so forth. Yeah. So I realized, I'm like, oh my God, there's layers to this thing. I thought I did that, but then something else happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, Eva came, my daughter, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want this to be passed on. Like, I have to do something about it. So yeah, processing and so forth has been a big thing. Yeah, so far that's kind of like what, showed up for me.
Yeah.
In a lot of places. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm listening to that list, and it's like most everybody has those issues, but what turns it into almost like an obsession or addictiveness level with someone that has gone through that experience with a narcissist? Why do you think that turned so big in you?
One, I had other narcissists in my family as well, that I would say piggybacked off of my mom. Especially what's coming to mind is especially dance. In the dance world, you have to be thin or you're not going to land at audition or, whatever. And you could be a great dancer, but still, if you're not thin enough, you're not getting the role. So I would say that one in particular became a huge obsession for me. Body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
So much so that I went, I would do all these diets, all these fad diets, whatever, pills, anything. I bought Herbalife. I didn't care what it was. I wanted to get a tummy tuck. I wanted to get anything to make me thin so that I can appear and be accepted by the world. And so that part became an obsession for me, but also needing to show up and prove to my mom that I'm good. Like I'm but it was still her at the core, people pleasing, trying to please her to whatever, so yeah.
Did you also, I know when I've dealt with a lot of people that have suppressive, I call it suppressive, narcissist, whatever you want to call it, but they deal with that in their life and it becomes their life mission to get that person to change. Did you go through that with your mom?
I went through that until 2018. When I left the cult, I left her as well.
Yeah.
I went no contact with my mother. I went no contact with him. And I don't know, I got fed up. I didn't have it in me anymore.
Yeah.
After so many arguments, after all of these things, like I realized after a while, she's not going to change. And I said, I need to change myself and I'm done.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Changed my number. I blocked everyone. Oh, it's over. I'm so done. So yeah, that's what it was.
So I mean, I know the answer to this, but not everybody else does. What are you planning to do with all of this stuff? I know that you're talking about being a transformational coach, but what is it that you want to do that's going to help other people dealing with situations like this? Because there's so many.
Yes. I am looking into, I definitely want to expand my knowledge on the topic of mother wounds, healing mother wounds. I recently stepped into that. Like, oh my God, this is it. This is my purpose. I stepped into it like in December.
Wow.
And said, this is what I want to do because it's so important. Yeah. But yes, I do plan to expand and do speaking engagements. I want to be an author. And yes, a coach.
Wow.
In the future. and
Excellent.
possibly a psychologist. Who knows? We'll see where things go. But yeah, that's what I'm into.
Excellent. Well, whatever it is you choose, I'm sure you'll be amazing at it.
Thank you.
So I know we have a few minutes left. What would you like to tell? What would be your message right now to give people that maybe are going through this or kind of sense that they are? I know that if there are narcissists listening out there, that'll probably be going, "Oh, that's not me."
Yeah.
But what about the people that are realizing, "Wow, I've been living this and I never even realized it." What would you like to say to them?
I say give yourself grace and time to grieve, because it's, for me, grieving is still ongoing. Allow yourself to, expand your knowledge, learn, get information, take care of yourself, eat good, drink herbal teas, meditate, be mindful, do mindful meditation, breath work, somatics, get into your creative space, find your tribe, people that align with you. What else can I give? Yeah, I mean, just take care of your body, work out,
Yeah.
detach from, the news or whatever is going on out there, and plug in, plug into some positive things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's okay to, if you have your vices, but talk to someone, be open about it. That's kind of that's the best advice I can give.
Okay. And of course, I would add, look at mirrors.
Yeah.
Because they're amazing teachers that you have
Yes.
attracted in your life to wake you up and to get your power back. And, whether it means looking at past lives or just recognizing just on a superficial level that this person is mirroring something. There's so much power in doing that. Yeah.
There's a motto I took from that I put, but from Maxine Waters, reclaiming my time. That's what I'm doing. I think everybody that's going through it should do it in their own way and take however long you need to achieve that.
Yes, that's right. That's what we deserve. Definitely.
Yeah, because we deserve. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how do you, I know you say you're not quite doing the transformational coaching yet, but when you are, how can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Personal Solutions Life. That's my page. I don't know, I could put it somewhere or give it to you, however. But yeah, that's how you can find me. It's just on there. I'm just on Instagram for now.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, all the best to you. You're amazing. I'm so proud of you for
you.
sharing your story so openly and
Yeah.
authentically. Yes.
Yeah.
And if anybody is listening to this or watching this and wants to go deep and find out some of those narcissistic mirrors, reach out to me, Perfect Life Awakening, and we'll get our shovels out and find out what's really going on, get our power back.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Royce. I feel so good.
Oh, good.
I do. I feel so good today. So I'm glad to be here, be able to share
Awesome.
my story.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. And I will see everybody next week when I do my Perfect Life Awakening show. And I am going to start a new 10-week course called Transform from Self-Sabotage to Empowerment. Reach out to me and I'll give you all the details. It's kind of hard to figure out what timing will work because I've got people all over the world, but let me know and we'll make it work for you. And thank you so much, Charlie, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Royce. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Oh.